course, also we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, man, and Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Go to John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, so in them you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I will not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Allah here in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Notice I come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe that you receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that comes from Allah here only? Do not think that I will accuse you of Moses, for whom you trust. If Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote it. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's go over to Proverbs 31, Proverbs 4. Since we talked some things about wine on last Shabbat, we'll grab some things from that. So we'll pick it up here at Proverbs 31 and verse 4. And it said, it is not for kings old and forget Torah and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. So, taking a look at that, and we'll cycle through all of those things. But I want you to look at what he said, like to what's written in regards to not drinking wine, lest you forget Torah. I want you to come over here to Isaiah the 28th chapter. Isaiah the 28th chapter. What's going on? What is going on? Isaiah 28. What do I need? They pick this up at 28 and 1. Proverbs 28 and 1. And it says, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose esteemed beauty is a fading flower, which on the head of fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. I want you to just look at this word for drunkard. Word for drunkard. This word for drunkard is shakor. And it is a drunken one, it is a drunken man. It's used about 13 times. Hold on one second. And some of this stuff we're going to look for. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to give you these characters. You got Sean, you got Kof, you got U, you got Raj. So clearly, if you're drunken, you're going to be consumed. Give me one moment. I want to use standard information for Kof at this time. So I'm going to say you're going to be consumed and subdued. And sit back and you look at that, because that's what you allow the alcohol to do, is to sue you. And then this doesn't secure you to the highest, so to be, but it's going to get you nailed to the highest. Let me see what we'll use that one. Because you're definitely being subdued and you're definitely being consumed. Well, if we look at it this way, your subduing has secured you to the consumption of Yahushua. That's what that's going to look at it being drunken. Now, let's continue. I want you to come over here to Job chapter 12, verse 22. Job chapter 12, verse 22. Come over here to Job chapter 12, verse 15. Job chapter 12, verse 15. Behold, he withhold the waters and they dry up. Also, he send them out and they overturn the earth. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. That take you back to how Paul stated, evil men will wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. He lead counselors away spoiled, and he make the judges fools. He loose the bond of kings and gird their loins with a girdle. He lead princes away spoiled and overthrow the mighty. He remove away the speech of the trusty and take away the understanding of the aged. Pour contempt upon princes and weaken the strength of the mighty. He discover the deep things out of darkness and bring out to the light the shadow of death. He increased the nations and destroyed them. He enlarged the nations and straightened them again. He take away the heart of the people of the earth, and cause them into wander in the wilderness where there is no way. They grope in dark without light. He make them to stagger like a drunken man. Now notice that has been what we came there for. We came there for because he says he makes them grope in the dark without light, and they stagger around like a drunken man. So I want you to take a look at John chapter 12, I suppose. Now that word for grope is mashah. You have Sean and you got two means. So because they're groping, because they can't see in the light, because they walk in darkness, you can sit back and see how the blood that is upon them has brought forth chaos, which leads to their consumption. So remember, this is still taking us back. John 12 is good enough. 12 and 33 or 32. 12. John 12 and 32. And if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. This he said, signifying what death he should die. People answered him, we've heard out of Torah that Mashiach abide forever. How say you the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Then Yahushua said unto them, yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walk in darkness know not where he goes. He that walks in darkness does not know where he goes. Now notice how when we look at all of these things, of course, of him discovering the deep things out of darkness, that takes us back to what we discussed in Hebrews chapter 4 about that word being a thought, a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart, but also how he can take away the understanding of the age and remove the speech of the trusted. When we look at that word trusted, of course, it's amam, which is to support and confirm. That takes us back to the thing that we read in Isaiah 44 about how he frustrates the tokens of liars and brings their counsel to nothing. So when you turn around and you look at being drunk, let's take this over here to Revelation 17. Not only in the literal sense of getting drunk, but let's look at it in this sense as well. Revelation chapter 17. 17 and 1. And there came out 7 Malachim, which had 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sit upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the Ruach into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemies, and having 7 heads and 10 horns. So pause. Now let's go back to Isaiah 28, because what we're really going to ascertain and come down to, now, spiritually anyway, with drinking a cup of wine, is you're going to have 2 choices of what cup of wine that you're going to drink from. You're either going to drink from this whore's cup and forget the law and have misjudgment, or you're going to drink from the cup of the Lamb because you're ready to perish and you have a heavy heart. And you're going to have to make the decision of which cup you're going to drink from. But nevertheless, back to Isaiah chapter 28. Still got Proverbs 31. I'm going to read verse 1 again. Woe to the crown of pride to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fatted valleys of them that are overcome with wine. Now let's see what I think I should know what the word overcome is going to be here. And it is not what I thought it was going to be. Now this word here is halam, and it is to be strike down or to be smitten. And you got hey, lamad, and mean. So what ends up doing it when you come with this because they've been stricken down or smitten? You got hey, so you got beholder, you got the man with raised arms or Yahushua Shalom, man. and you got Yahusha, and then you have blood or chaos. But since they're being smitten down, they're being smitten down because they've been overcome with wine. So they've been overcome with chaos from this other cup because they've gotten drunken. So therefore, Yahusha does not teach chaos. Let's look at Galatians 2 and 14 in that regard. Because he does not. The Lord did not come and teach you foolishness. That's stuff that you got out of your own heart. People like to ascribe that to him. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't what it is. Galatians chapter 2, right? Verse 14, I should say. Yeah, that'll work. But when I say that, no, that's not going to work. 2 and 16, straight to the point. Galatians 2 and 16. So it says, knowing that a man is not justified by works of Torah, but by the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might be justified by the faith of Mashiach, and not by the works of Torah, but for the works of Torah shall no flesh be justified. But if while we seek to be justified by Mashiach, we ourselves also are found sinners, is therefore Mashiach the minister of sin? Elohim forbid. He did not serve you sin. He did not teach you sin. Let's get another witness out of the mouth of Paul when he's writing that to another group of people. Come to Ephesians chapter 4. Let's just look at him tell that to another group of people so you can let that be known. Because it's two different cups. No. Them being drunken. There is some wine that's chaos, and then there's wine that is not. We're going to just look at wine all throughout the word. We said some point of reference for it last week, looking at the fact that, and I didn't even get the part in Deuteronomy in the law where he told them that they could go buy wine and strong drink for the feast days. But we basically looked at that wine was a celebratory thing. But now we're looking at it in the aspects of, we started in Proverbs 31, that it is not good for kings to drink wine. But then we'll continue down. It ain't good for you to do that. Now, see, pause, since I said that. Because some people will look at, number one, people throw that term king around way too loosely in this current time in history. I know that individuals do this because they have low self-esteem. So they feel like, let me build my black brother up by calling him a king. And all that does is for individuals who have delusions of grandeur, it just inflates their delusional thoughts of self-worth and cause them to conduct themselves in a way that's not even barely becoming of someone who claims to be royalty. Now, we all know historically that all our people were not kings. You know what I'm saying? That's just stuff that people say because they don't know no better. No, all your people were not kings. And y'all know this, especially if you know the word. Everybody was not king. But because in Yahusha, there's neither male nor female, no bond nor free, no Yahudim nor Greek. And of course, as you know, that according to what's written in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, and also in the 5th chapter, that he has redeemed you unto himself to make you kings and priests. Therefore, the statutes and ordinances that pertain to a king, if you dwell in a Mashiach, they pertain to you. See, that's the thing that individuals don't want to state when they make those statements. We're a kingdom, we kings. Well, then the things that pertain to a king pertain to you. Now, of course, you can say those things don't pertain to you. That he wouldn't drink wine again till he drunk it new with us in our Father's kingdom. So, what pattern do you think you're supposed to follow? But I'll get to that in a moment. Ephesians chapter 4. We pick this up, right? Verse 18. He say, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of Elohim through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over to lasciviousness to work all uncleanliness and greediness. But you have not so learned Hamashiach, if so be that you have heard of him and you've been taught of him, as the truth is in Yahusha. Now, if you done heard and been taught of the Lord, then you know better. There's just a way of conduct that you're not going to participate in. Now, that can't be overcome with wine, would be in the word halam for overcome. Hey, lamad, and mean. So Yahusha did not teach you chaos. He didn't teach you to sin. Because if you would have drunk from his cup, then you would have learned to cease from sin. See, let's take a look at that. Go back to Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 26. And it states, And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink you all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins." So you know that if your sins are remitted, then you no longer walk in sin. So if you drink from his cup, then you would have learned not to sin. See, if you drink from the other cup of the whore, then of course you're going to learn to sin. This is why he's saying you're going to forget the Torah. Come back to Proverbs 31 where we began. Look at what it says. Still holding Isaiah chapter 28. Proverbs 31 and 4 says, "It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget Torah and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more." So let's back that up. He said, "Lest they drink and forget Torah and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted." Now let's go back to Isaiah 28 and 2. Let's look what happens. Because he's talking about the priests here who like to do a little sipping. It's not for anybody who's in rule or in power to be a drunk. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You have to realize that of course, according to Torah, he told you that the high priest, could not enter into the set apart place if he had been drinking. The reason being because if you allow your mind to be clouded with outside substances, you're not going to be able to judge properly, which means you're not fit to lead, which means you're not fit to judge. It means you're not fit to do anything. This goes beyond when Paul writes in his letters, "Be sober," because he was talking about being clear-minded in a different fashion. But ask yourself, what type of wisdom can you manifest to someone in an altered mental state? What type of leadership can you offer someone in an altered mental state? What type of understanding can you impart? Because we all know that alcohol removes inhibitions. We all know if you change the chemical makeup of the brain, you can change your ability to function properly, therefore to make decisions properly. So this is why he's telling you. This is his mother, because verse 1 tells you that this is the prophecy that his mother taught him. And she's telling him point blank, period. You're going to forget the law. Now let's see if Yahuwah says that in regards to these people in the book of Isaiah in the 28th chapter. We're in verse 2. He says, "Behold, the Lord have a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hands. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden under foot, and the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat of the valley shall be a fading flower. And as the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he look upon it, see, while it's yet in his hand, he eat it. And that day shall Yahuwah of hosts be for a crown of glory and a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a ruach of judgment to him that sitteth judgment, and for strength to them that turn to the battle, that turn the battle to the gate. But they have erred through wine, and in strong drink, through strong drink, they are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine, they are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision, they stumble in judgment, for all tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place that is clean. Now let's just take a look at the word err. Let's just take a look at the word err. You have Shagah, you have Shan, you have Gamal, and you have Hay. So with that, of course, you're erring, you're going astray. So what does this mean? Behold, the messengers will get you consumed. Well, how will they get you consumed? Remember, we talked about this recently. Well, let's take a look at it, because he said these prophets and priests, they're erring through strong drink. Ezekiel chapter 14. From Ezekiel 14 to Matthew 24. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction. That will explain that. Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 6. Remember what we just read in Job. How he say he take away the understanding of the aged and the things that he does to people. Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 6. Therefore say unto the house of Yasharal, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, repent and turn yourselves from your idols and turn away your faces from all your abominations. For every one of the house of Yasharal or of the stranger that sojourned in Yasharal will separate himself from me and set up idols in his heart and put the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face and come to a prophet to inquire of him concerning me, I, Yahuwah, will answer him by myself. And I will set my face against that man and will make him a sign and a proverb, and I will cut him off from the midst of my people, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. And if a prophet be deceived when he's spoken a thing, I, Yahuwah, have deceived that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand upon him and will destroy him from the midst of my people Yasharal, and they shall bear the punishment of their iniquity, and the punishment of the prophet shall be even as the punishment of him that seek unto him. Now, that is a dangerous proposition for someone who's erring through wine and strong drink. Now, let's continue in that particular chapter, because this is what he's telling you. This messenger, behold, this messenger is going to get you consumed. Come over here to Matthew chapter 24. This messenger is going to get you right on consumed. From Matthew 24 to 2 Timothy chapter 3. See, the latter part about verse 6 of Proverbs 31, that's easy. We went over that in the past. And that's an easy one. And of course, we'll expound on it. Maybe y'all willing, or not maybe y'all willing, and greater detail about giving wine to those that are ready to perish. Of course, you know the Lord stated in the book of Revelation, you need to strengthen the things that remain that are ready to die. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit down and take the cup of the Lord unless you're ready to die. See, a lot of people, they're not ready to die. You want to drink that cup out of ritual. Remember, we talked about the drink offering last week, how it went along with the meat offering. These things went about to give a sweet smell and savor unto Yahuwah. You have to weigh and consider what you're doing. But of course, you know, a lot of people don't believe in Yahuwah, so that's understandable. Very, very understandable. You know what I'm saying? You know, of course, everybody's in an uproar about Dwayne Wade doing what he got going on, but yet we forget what Paul wrote to us. This man already told us in the last days there'll be perilous times will come, and men will be lovers of themselves and seekers of pleasure rather than pleasing Elohim, among many other things. So none of these things should be shocking, because these are the things which must be, which were written to be, and which was said to come, how man would behave. If you know that the people corrupted the way of Yahuwah during the time of the flood, can you only imagine what they had going on? What makes you think what they had going on is different than anything that's going on now, if Solomon has already told you that there's nothing new under the sun? What makes you think that anything is different? That means these people were just as perverted and perverse during the time of Noah and in Sodom and Gomorrah and in the land of Yasharal as they are right now. Don't think that the things that they're propagating and pushing now were not propagated and pushed in antiquity, because they were. You can let these niggas romanticize this stuff if you want to. Man been perverse for a long season. For a long, long season. You know what I'm saying? So you don't need to be shocked. No need to marvel. As the Lord would put it, no need to marvel. I want you to come over here to Matthew chapter 24, and we just want verse 23. Well, not verse 23, but we don't need much. Matthew 24 and 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is a Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. I don't want you to know it's going to be they're going to be them false prophets and false anointed ones that have erred through wine, because they drinking from the other cup. See, when you drink that wine, he said you will forget Torah. Let's read that again in in Proverbs 31, and let's get that word for forget, because he said that's what you're going to do. Well, as he said, that's what his mama told him you'll do. So you'll forget the Torah. Now I want you to look at this word for forget. Of course, you know what it means, but I'm talking about the character. Shakash, because it's just simple. Shakak, I should say, simply means to forget, or to make or cause to forget. You got Shan, you got Ka, and you got Kai. So look what ends up happening. You got subdued, you got separated to be consumed. That's what happens when you forget. Sin has subdued you. Come over here to Genesis chapter 4. Sin will subdue you, separate you, and consume you. It's just that simple. Genesis chapter 4 and 6. Genesis chapter 4, and we'll make it 5. But unto Canaan, to his offering, he had not respect. Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth? Why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? If you do not well, sin lie at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over it. You're going to get subdued. Now, I want you to take a look at Jeremiah chapter 2, maybe about verse 27. You're going to get subdued. From after this Jeremiah 2 and 27, 2 Timothy chapter 3, probably about verse 10. Jeremiah chapter 2. Verse 27. Make that 21. I'm going to read quite a few verses, so forgive me. Jeremiah chapter 2, and make it verse 20. As a matter of fact, make it 19. He said, your own wickedness shall correct you. Your backsliding shall reprove you. Know therefore and see that it's an evil thing and bitter that you have forsaken Yahuwah your Elohim, and that my fear is not in you, saith Yahuwah Elohim of hosts. So what does that mean? That Yahuwah used wickedness to humble us. We see that in regards to Hamashiach, and Yahuwah willing, we'll go through that in detail as well, because he used wickedness to humble this man, because he said he learned you obedience from the things that he suffered, and he suffered through the hands of the wicked. Matter of fact, it tells you that in the book of Isaiah, in the 53rd chapter. So as we sit back and we hear these things and we consider all of these things, when you look at every time that Yasharal called out to Yahuwah, he humbled them through wickedness. The wickedness of the people who he brought against him. See, that's what our people fail to realize and where you at, because we want to do a lot of different things. But then you not realize that you over here because of your wickedness. So therefore, he's going to use wickedness and your backslidings to correct you and to discipline you and to chasten you. Our people don't understand that because you don't want to accept it, because you despise that chastening, which takes us back to what some of the things that we were discussing last week. But let's continue. He said, for an old time, I've broken the yoke and burst your bands. And you said, I will not transgress, when upon every high hill and every green tree you wander playing the harlot. See, that take you back when you came out of Egypt, and you said everything in this covenant we will do. So you were willing to drink from the wine then, but then you want to drink from the wine of the nations at the same token. But let's continue. Yeah, I planted you a noble vine, a holy, a right seed. How are you turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? For though you wash with nitrate, and you take you much soap, yet your iniquity is marked before me, saith Yahuwah Elohim. It's one of the reasons why Yahushua said you clean for the word that I've spoken unto you. But you can't cleanse yourself with nothing other than the word of you. You're going to have the blood of the lamb to cleanse you. That's the only thing you can't take nothing else. You can't get that mark off you. But let's continue. How can you say I am not polluted? I have not gone after Balaam. See your way in the valley. Know what you've done. You are a swift dromedy traversing her ways. A wild ass used to the wilderness that snuff up the wind out of pleasure. And her occasion, who can turn her away? All that seek her will not weary themselves. In her month they shall find her. Withhold your foot from being unshod and your throat from thirst. But you said there is no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them I will go. And you can still see that with our people to this day. You love strange God, so that's who you chase. You love strange people that are not equally yoked to Elohim, as Paul wrote. You go after Balaam, not Balaam. What is it? The sons of Belial. You go after darkness. This is what you desire. You know what I'm saying? You sit back and look at that. You say after strangers, you're gonna go. If you go after strangers, that means you don't recognize Yahuwah. That's why he say he came into his own received him not. Because they say we got Caesar to a king. We don't care nothing about this nigga. Care nothing about what he's talking about. But let's continue. As a thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Yasharal ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, their priests, their prophets, saying to a stock, you are my father, and to a stone you brought me forth. For they turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble they will say, arise and save us. But where are their gods that you have made you? Let them arise if they can save you in the time of your trouble. For according to the number of your cities are your gods, O Yehuda. Wherefore will you plead with me? You all have transgressed against me, saith Yahuwah. In vain have I smitten your children. They've received no correction. Your own sword have devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. Look what he said, man. He said, hey, I didn't hit your children for nothing. You still won't get right. You wonder why all your sons dying and you still won't get corrected. You still won't listen. Because you like that cup. See, you like the cup of drunkenness. You know what I'm saying? You like to be drunken with the wrath of her fornication. Because when you get drunk with the whore, you can do what you want to do. But see, the drunk of Yahuwah, the wine of Yahuwah, that's something a little different. That's for somebody of a heavy heart who's ready to perish. That's the only people supposed to get it. Celebratory. But nevertheless, let's continue. He said, O generation, see you the word of Yahuwah. Have I been a wilderness under Yasharal, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, we are lords. We'll come no more unto you. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. So how do you think you end up forgetting Yahuwah? You forget them because you done forgot the Torah because you around here sipping on wine, whether that's spiritually or literally. Because you're not going to tell me you're going to be in your right mind and the word of Yahuwah going to come to your mind and you drunk. How's that possible? How can we even sit there and try to convince ourselves of such a thing? I'm drunk and the law going to come to my mind. Because this is what he said would happen. Lest they drink, and now look at this here, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. I want you to take a look at pervert. And that is Shana, and that is to alter or to change. Shan, Noon, and Hay. So guess what you want to do? You want to consume the seed of Yahuwah. That's what you want to alter and change. You want to alter the change the face of the people. But 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 10. Because that's all the whore trying to do with her cup is alter and change the seed. Let me change it. Let me craft you in my image and not the image of Elohim. You know, I hear Bruce all the time. My people are always drunk. And nobody ever said they didn't. But one thing for certain and two things for sure. If you always looking to get drunk, you got a problem. You got a problem. You think who always and the Malachim and all them talking about, well, let's get some wine, boy. Remember what Peter told them people on Pentecost? Man, you seeing it ain't but the ninth hour. What you mean? He said, them boy drunk with new wine. They don't disrespect me like that. We got work to do. I'm going to pervert judgment and have the whole table full of vomit and filthiness. And you think I'm sitting up here getting drunk? We'll read that in a minute. But 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 10. He said, but you have fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, love, patience, persecutions and afflictions, which came unto me at Iconium, at Antioch, and at Iconium and Lystra. What persecutions I endured, but out of them the Lord delivered me. Yea, all that will live godly and Yahushua HaMashiach shall suffer persecution. But evil man and seducer shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And we read that earlier in Job 25, 12 and 25. Let me get that verse in case y'all don't recall. That's it. Definitely wrong. That was Job chapter 12. I think it was about verse 23. That in, but let me confirm that. It definitely was verse 23. It was definitely verse 16. That the deceived and the deceiver are his. That's Job 12 and 16. Look at this last thing that Paul stated. But continuing the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing of whom you've learned them, and that from a child, you know the Kadash scriptures, which are able to make you wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Yahushua HaMashiach. So, again, we're going to get to that because we kind of mentioned that last week. That when you drink the cup of the Lord, you show his death till he comes. So that wine is for those who are ready to perish. So you come up every Passover and you're just not ritually drinking wine. You're showing that you're continually ready to perish, or that you take up your stake daily, as Paul has stated, and you die daily, or that you resist or you deny the flesh, because he that is dead to sin, sin no more, but live under Elohim. Because remember, let this mind be in you, the same mind that was in Yahushua HaMashiach. He that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. Well, how did you suffer in the flesh? Yahushua suffered in the flesh by being nailed to the stake. So you drinking that cup, which is shed for many for the remission of sins, which is of the new covenant, because no testament is of any effect as long as the testator live. But if the testator be dead, then the testament is of effect. So when you're showing that you sipping of that cup, you're showing that you are dead to sin, because this is what Mashiach has taught you to do, which is to take up your stake and follow him, and that whosoever die in him will live in him, because we've all judged that if one died, then we're all dead. And that is what you're actually remembering, that I'm ready to perish and I'm of a heavy heart. Yahushua was of a heavy heart. He knew he was about to die. He knew he was about to die for the sins of the people. So he that mourns, he shall be comforted. So you get the comfort of the covenant and the remitting of sins. See, that's what you're supposed to remember. Not just, oh, let's eat some unleavened bread and take a sip of some wine. I mean, you're wasting your time, because you're not understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it and what is actually contained. But let's come over here back to Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2. Pick it up about verse 4. Acts chapter 2. And when they were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh and began to speak with other tongues, as the Ruach gave them utterance, there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yahudim, devout men of every nation, Shaman. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these men would speak the lands? And now hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born. Parthians, Medes, Elamites, dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Yehuda, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Mizraim, and the parts of Libya and Cyrene, strangers of Rome, Yahudim, and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Elohim. They were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, What means this? Others mocking said, These men are full of new wine. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, You men of Yehuda, and all you that dwell at Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. These are not drunken as you suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day. Not only that, but these men out here preaching. Now we know, let's go back to Isaiah 28. These men out here preaching. See, because if you own that wine, you're going to forget that law, and you're going to pervert the judgment of the afflicted. That's wrong. Now pause. They're standing out there preaching to the afflicted right then. They didn't know they were afflicted, because they were afflicted with sin. Therefore, they were afflicted with death. That's why he told them, come and get baptized in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. No need at this particular juncture to pass out bread and wine, because those souls who were pricked in their heart, who were ready to perish. That's why they came down and got in the water and gave their life up. See, when you sit back and you eat that wine, drink that wine, and you eat that bread, and you say you want to get immersed, you saying, I'm ready to give my life up. I'm ready to perish. And you got to ask yourself, are you really ready to die? You know what I'm saying? Because see, if you're not ready to die now, you're not going to be ready to die when it's time. This is why you can see Peter say the time of my decease, or how Yahushua spoke of his decease, or how even Paul spoke of his decease. I fought the good fight. You wouldn't have any trepidation or any nervousness about taking your rest, because you know a day of resurrection will come for you. And that is your earnest expectation. See, a lot of niggas say a lot of things. A lot of niggas be capping. Really, really capping all the time. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, most of y'all know this in life. Most people who want to be seen and want to be heard so desperately are capping. You know, they're not who they say they are. They're not who they pretend to be. Most people who live a particular type of way, no matter what it is that they're involved in, they just go about their business. But don't get me wrong, some people leadership style is to be vocal and to be open, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're fraudulent. But most people, they just like to put their head down and do what it is that they do. You can either accept it or roll with it, or you don't. Don't make them no never mind. When you look at how Yahusha roll, you can either roll with what I got going on, or you don't. Don't make him no never mind. You know what I'm saying? Because regardless of what, the plan of Yahuwah shall be fulfilled through the personage of Yahuwah, through Yahushua HaMashiach. Period, point blank. But nevertheless, let's take our trip back to Isaiah 28. To let y'all slide, man. I got more for Friday. You know, this slide. So we got Isaiah 28, right? I'm picking up at verse 7. They've erred through wine, through strong drink are out of the way. The priest, the prophet have erred through strong drink. They swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. Listen what he said. They err in vision and stumble in judgment. Remember, because what did his mother say? What did King Lemuel mother say? It's not good for kings to drink strong drink. It's not good for them to do this. It's not good for kings. It's not for kings to drink wine. That's another reason why you see Yahusha drinking wine. At that time, he wasn't a king. And it ain't good for princes to drink strong drink on the Shabbat. But as we look at that again, that verse right there, right? Let him drink so he can forget his poverty. I want you to look at this word for poverty, and I want you to ponder on it. I'm not going to go through the great detail right now. I just want you to ponder on it. And that word is Resh, or Rosh, I should say. And you got Rosh, Yad, and Shan. I just want you to ponder on those characters, Rosh, Yad, and Shan. He said, let him drink so he can forget his poverty. And the word is that defines the poverty and his misery. Misery is Amal, his toil, his trouble. Ayin, Mim, and Lamad. I want you to ponder on that. I want you to ponder on that. I want to come back to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, because this is who wine is supposed to be given to those who are ready to perish, so they can forget their poverty, so they can forget their pain. From 1 Corinthians 11 to Matthew 11, and Yahuwah willing, will expound on those things in greater detail on the Sabbath. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 23. For I received that which I also delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua the same night in which he was betrayed took bread. When he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this is the cup of the New Testament in my blood. This do you as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Dang, I forgot what I just said. You remember what I just said?
Where you just go?
Yeah.
Are you already correct?
Yeah, I said one more, but I can't. I forgot just that. Look at what he said, right? You drink of this cup, you show his death till he come. You know what I'm saying? So this is where to get your misery and forget your poverty. Forget all the pain. Oh, that's what praise you for. Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11, verse 27. Because recall, everybody, thank you, Trent. After they drank that cup, they went and sung a hymn. But nevertheless, Matthew 11 and 28, not 27. Matthew 11 and 28. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, which we just read about a yoke being burst, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So I just want y'all to take that into account. When you look at forget that the cup is for you to forget your misery and to forget your poverty. Keep that in mind. Y'all willing, we'll pick that up. Because considering that when you drink the cup, you're showing his death till he comes. And you know that through his poverty, we were made rich. But y'all, I'll be keep going all night, and we can't go all night. So hallelujah for Yahushua. I appreciate everybody's time this evening. We'll be at the spot on Murray Hill. For those of you who are watching and are not local, 2:40, probably be done about 3:40, 3:45, 4 o'clock probably at the latest. I don't want to push it too long. I know around that time we might have about 2 hours plus worth of sunlight or whatever the case may be. But we'll work the particulars out as it goes. Again, we'll be at a spot on Murray Hill, the library at Murray Hill. So, again, blessings to everybody out of the house of you in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate everybody's time. It's a way to consider just a baseline to get us rolling on Shabbat. So, who are willing, till the next time.